with our brand new Giants pitching coach and the pride of Mill Valley, California, and Tamalpais High, like me, an old Tam Indian back in the day. Now, no red-tailed hawks here, Bryan Price. So, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. No more Tamalpais Indians. It was pretty legitimate
It's a
back in the day.
historical footnote,
Oh,
but I'm
for
going to
sure.
try to keep this interview away from just nothing about. I could do all Boyle Park, Gus Gym, and the Tam High baseball program, but we'll talk a little Giants. But it's good to have a local. He and I share this bond here, Marcus.
I know, Murph. It's almost like I feel like a +1 at a high school reunion. You guys will break it down now, Sam.
That's right. You might be the outsider in this conversation right here,
I'll let
Marcus.
you boys talk.
Well, I say welcome home. It is. It's home, right? First and foremost, I mean, baseball is a traveling business, and you've been all over the Cincinnati Reds, the Mariners, you name it. But to be home, and I know you've spoken to this a little bit, but now that you're actually here with the hoodie on and the black and the orange on, how does that change the dynamic and emotions for you?
Well, it's funny. I was joking with Bob Melvin the other day, and I said, "Isn't it great that we finished with the Giants? So all the other stuff we can move out of our closet. We can finish our lives with just a collection of Giants gear and stuff like that." It was kind of funny, but it is a dream come true. I mean, I think Giants fans are different. I mean, it in an area especially where there's two different teams, you got the A's and the Giants. I mean, Giants, it runs deep. And it's not like you're on the fence. When you become a Giants fan, funny story was when we lost to the Giants in 2012, we had the 2-0 lead in Cincinnati, and we went back and lost 3 in a row. And my dad had passed that summer, and I was thinking, come on, Dad, we're in Romo's pitching against Jay Bruce. Jay's fouling some off. It's the 9th. It's a home run. We win. We go to the next series. And I'm going, come on, Dad, I need you. And then Jay pops up, and Roland strikes out, and the game's over, and we lose. And I was walking up in the clubhouse. I realized, my dad's a Giants fan. He was going to be pulling for the Giants over his own son. That's just how deep it runs.
Well, that is that's a heck of a story, and that's how it is. And you've told the stories of Candlestick and Russ Hodges' funeral across the street from Old Mill Elementary School. So it's just a huge, huge emotional thing, which we could go on and on and on about. But at a certain point, you got to get to work, right, and set aside all the emotions. So everybody's very excited about young pitching staff and maybe a change. I don't know, maybe Bryan, and we're talking to Bryan Price here on Scottsdale Stadium. Is it too big of a statement to say that you're bringing a philosophical overhaul in that you want starters to go deeper into games, or is that accurate to say it's a bit of an overhaul in the way they used to do it around here?
Well, I think there's some new ideas and expectations. We'll see what ends up working out better, but I think that we're a better staff, or we're a better bullpen if these guys aren't doing as much heavy lifting. I think if we really want to have that next generation of great, iconic Giants players, they're going to have to throw more innings. Last year it was really leaning on Logan Webb and Alex Cobb, and we need more contributions. And I think we have those players here. I mean, if you look at the rotation and we look at the young guys that are here that are competing for spots like Kyle Harrison or Tristan Beck, Keaton Wynn, that bunch. We've got Spencer Howard, who's had a really nice start to his camp, who we got he came through. I had him in Philly in 2020, but trying to get him to where his best years are ahead of him. I believe that. And then the kids like Mason Black and Carson Seymour and Wizen Hunt, and there's just a list that kind of goes on. And I know that we have some kids over at Papago that we haven't seen yet that the organization's really excited about. And we haven't yet seen Reggie Crawford yet. And that's an exciting arm. So there's a lot of good things moving in the right direction here.
Yeah, but you're a believer in, like, is there like, hey, you're going out there to do your job and go through the lineup, and this is the magic word, Bryan, 3 times.
Yeah, I think the whole idea is think about finishing what you start. And, sometimes a great start is 5 innings because a pitcher might throw a lot of pitches in the early innings and they find a way to stay in the game for 5. Not every game's going to be a classic. But I think the mindset has to be that we're not looking to throw you a life ring after 5 innings. And the challenge, of course, is that beyond Logan Webb, we don't have guys here that have thrown a surplus of innings before. So we also have to keep an eye on that. It's hard to take a pitcher from 100, innings to 180. Hicks has been a reliever. Harrison threw 100 innings last year. Beck, Keaton. These are guys that haven't had a surplus of innings. So there's a certain responsibility that goes with building them to become that next great San Francisco Giants starting rotation. But we're going to have to do it practically. We can't just jump them up there, and all of a sudden we're seeing these guys throwing 7, 8, 9 innings every fifth day.
And we saw last year the use of openers and a lot of bullpen games. What's your kind of philosophy and your breakdown of that strategy?
You know, I kind of leave that to the people that are smarter than me about how we piece together the analytics to put the best product on the field or the best chance to win. I've never been a part of that. I don't think I've ever been a part of a team where we've done an opener ever. Not in Philadelphia, not in Cincinnati, certainly, Arizona, Seattle, it just wasn't, people weren't doing it back then. I'm sure there's a strategy to it that plays, I understand it. It's not my cup of tea, but then again, I don't have to make those decisions. I let, Farhan and Pete and Bob do all that stuff. And, I'm in a position to be taking orders, not giving them, and we'll execute the plan that they have set up.
What is this opener thing? He says,
Yeah.
give me my starter, right?
Yeah.
And well, why not? That's, it's like, it's sort of the phrase reinventing the wheel. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? Like baseball has existed a certain way for 150 years, but people are always looking to do new things. So I don't know if it's too much tinkering, but it's just something that you kind of stay away from it.
I do. I think there's a version of baseball that I really like, that I've connected to. I think the game was really good the previous 150 years. I think that the pioneers of the sport learned the best way to play it. They learned how to condition their arms to take on workload. And I think the one thing that we do know is that we've decreased the number of pitches thrown. We've decreased the innings exposure, so pitchers aren't throwing as many. Now we're having 3 or 4 guys in all of baseball that breach the 200 inning mark. And it hasn't shown anything at all in a positive, in my opinion, from what I've seen, as far as a decrease in injury. And so I think we're trying to do more matchup baseball. For me, it's less appealing. But that's my opinion. That doesn't make me right. It just means that's my personal
It does make
taste.
you right, Brian. It does. We're talking to Brian Price, Giants' new pitching coach and the pride of Tamalpais High School in Mill Valley, California. We don't get many big leaguers. In fact, you're Kenny Rosenberg, the reliever for the Angels.
Yeah. Yep. Kenny got there.
He's the only player who's made
Yep.
it to the show from our high school. Other than, I'm talking about Sam Chapman and Joe DeMaestro and
Right.
all those guys, but I'm talking about in the modern era, as it were. So,
Yeah, Kenny's really the pride.
yeah, he is.
Kenny's the pride of
Well,
the
you and he
Tampa,
too.
for sure.
Just quickly on your staff, because we got Dave Rigetti, I think, coming in next here. Let's talk about Kyle Harrison. That we were saying there's nothing like a left-handed bonus baby prospect. There's just so much around him that's so exciting. What can you tell us your goals are for him? What have you learned about this kid? What should Giants fans expect?
Well, the thing that stands out with Kyle, beyond him being a local product, which is always exciting, is that he has a special fastball, and not just from a velocity perspective, but it's that kind of high elevated fastball that hitters really have a hard time getting on top of. And but for me, my goal is beyond the special fastball is having the accessory pitches that play for him throughout the at bat. I think any great starting pitcher is not limited to 1 or 2 pitches when they're behind in the count. I think his breaking ball has grown. It took huge steps in the live batting practice he threw the other day. His changeup, his cut fastball. They all need to play. When he's going to be at his very best, he's going to have 4 pitches at his disposal throughout the at-bat, so he doesn't get cornered into throwing predictable pitches in predictable areas, in predictable counts. That will limit his vulnerability. But as a young guy, we want him to pound the strike zone. And I tell all these guys on the first day, I says that hitters will tell you what you need to change. But if you don't throw it over the plate, if you don't work ahead, then you never really learn what the hitters see and what you need to modify to make yourself a big leaguer.
And speaking of electric fastballs, I wanted to ask you about Jordan Hicks and that transition between moving from the bullpen to the starting rotation. What are some of those bigger challenges? Is there any concerns about maybe loss of velocity stretching out? And how has that transition looked so far?
Yeah, I think that from a velocity perspective, and I'm not going to say he can't do it. I think it just to think that he's going to sustain, this 100 to 102 for 6 innings plus, that wouldn't be a goal for me. I'd like to see him throwing a lot of those power sinkers in the zone and getting some early ground ball contact and some early outs, so he's in the game later. We're going to have to responsibly build him up and condition his arm. It's a different animal now, but he did it in the minor leagues. He was a starter in the minor leagues, and then the Cardinals had given him an opportunity to pitch out of their rotation a couple of years ago, and he got banged up a little bit through the process. So we think he's in better position now to do this. He's hungry to do it. And now really it's a matter of him just getting acclimated to it more. I think more mentally. It's more of a mental challenge because the body's going to take on more of responsibility, and you're going to have to stay really mentally sharp on your approach throughout the course of those 6 and 6+ inning outings.
So we're running out of time here with Bryan Price. We could go on and on and on, but a couple of guys who aren't in the rotation to start the season, who I think Giants fans should count on, Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray. Can you give us an update or a philosophy with are these the guys going to be there's going to be almost like a mid-season trade acquisition in a sense?
Yeah, I think certainly Alex is further ahead in a different surgery, at a hip labrum surgery, and he's coming back. He's actually getting and throwing off the mound a little bit right now. We're trying to limit the workload and bring him back in a way that we don't have any setbacks, and hope to have him in the late spring or early summer. And then Robbie is, he had the Tommy John. He's had some things done to the elbow that we just know that there's a timetable that goes with that. So that's more like a summertime All-Star break. If you're an optimist, and I think we're optimistic, he's a terrific worker, a great person and leader. So if there's anybody that's going to get back from that surgery on time or a little early or just around the time we should be expecting him in July, August, he's going to be the guy that does it. But, it's tough. Coming off of an injury, it's tough to know what the expectations are, but they're pros. And I think when they're healthy and we sign off on them, they'll come in and do a great job.
We could keep going, but we got a World Series slugger at a Bellarmine hanging out in the back of here.
Oh, boy.
We got the back.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, yeah. There's, hey,
How do you
listen, there's
pitch
bigger
this?
voices in this.
How do you
in
pitch?
this room
How do
than
you
mine.
pitch Pat Burrell? How do you get Pat Burrell out?
Yeah,
What do you do?
I think I'd hit him in the knee. First at bat of the series be my goal.
One bag's better than 4, right?
That's
All
right. Smart.
Well, listen, looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing you around the park. We'll be down there, seeing the dugout. Great to have you home. The Mill Valley Kid. We can sing the Rita Abrams song together, me and he, later on.
That's right.
We're gonna
I'm
talk
with you.
about a place that's-
Yeah,
all
don't
right,
get
we
me
can go
on-
on.
don't
All right.
get me started.
All right, Brian. Well, welcome
Guys,
home. Great to talk to you.
terrific.
Pat Burrell is next.
Thanks,
We're
guys.
live from Scottsdale Stadium on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.